Okay, good afternoon, everybody. How are we? So this is our next edition of A Takeaway. And today we have with us Terrie Smith, the co-founder and global ambassador for DigiSec. Hello, Terrie.
Hi, Angela. Good to be here.
Lovely to have you. And welcome, we have Ido Kariti, director, advisor and board member of DigiSec. Really pleased to have you and thank you for coming. You're long awaited. We've already had a couple of episodes and we're just glad that you're joining this one and hopefully more to come as well. And I'm Angela Yore. I'm a board member of DigiSec too, but also a managing director of SkyParler, fintech public relations consultancy. So our topic today is why the time is right for wearable tech. Discuss, everybody. I've got the two experts here on wearable tech. And we know that it's taken around 15 years for mobile payments through smartphones and tablets to hit critical mass in consumer adoption. Mobile contactless payments are now the norm for millions of people globally. Why? Because consumers want speed and security, and mobile techs provided the critical bridge to take us from plastic cards to digital transactions. But we now have more convenience than ever, being able to use our phones to actually provision any object of our choice. So we've never had more flexibility. And this particular market, the global wearable tech market, is set to exceed 380.5 billion revenue by 2028. So we couldn't be in a better place. So why? So a few questions here for my audience here. So when you think of wearable tech, what word comes to your mind first? Ido, one for you.
One word that comes for wearable tech?
Yeah.
Convenience.
And for you, Terrie?
Fashion.
Fashion. Fantastic. So why say fashion? Why do you say fashion? What have you seen through, through what's going on at the minute?
Well, through the years that I've been in the business, and I worked on developing and was the ideator for the Apple Pay solution many, many years ago. And when you started looking at what wearables could be put out there, they were restricted by how they had to be provisioned with the payment credentials. So they started off as cards with a little pop-out that you could insert into something. And that meant that, to be perfectly honest, everything was just downright ugly. And it was really difficult to enjoy fashionable wearables because they couldn't be created and put into the consumer's hands very quickly. So I think that as time has gone on and as Apple Pay has come into being and people are more used to using their phones for such services, consumers are more free to understand that these things can be done now through their mobile. And I think as we've gone back into real life after COVID, convenience as well as being your own choice of your own fashion really now can begin to happen.
And tell us a little bit about some of the fantastic applications that you've been, you've sort of pioneered in the last few years. What really has piqued your interest?
By applications, I presume you mean sort of the type of wearables.
Yes, I do.
My favourite is a bracelet, which I just wear day in, day out. It's very pretty. You wouldn't know it's payment. And I love it because it suits my mood and it suits how I want to pay.
Fantastic. So when you think of wearable tech, Ido, what first comes to mind?
So as I said, I said the word convenience, and
Yeah.
I truly believe that when Terrie said cards, it's not only the card itself, which is, in my opinion, not convenient to take it off all the time, and it was the procedures that were very, very complicated through taking anything, making it into a payment device. The procedure was very, very complicated, very bottlenecked, and that made all the wearable kind of thing, the fashion kind of thing that Terrie was discussing, into something that needed a bottleneck to provision it, to personalize it, to make it into. And I believe that consumers today, they look for any convenient tool. So when they go out there and they just buy what they want, it's their choice. They just buy a ring, they just buy a bracelet, they buy a watch, and at home they can just put on that watch, on that bracelet, on that device, on that object, they just put any service they want themselves, which I think that's the big change of where it will become a mass product.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, as I said right in the very beginning when I was dealing with it, we were working with some of the banks who were first pioneering it, and the banks were choosing what people should be wearing. And to me, that was ridiculous because I don't go to a bank to buy my dress and I don't go there to buy my shoes. So I don't see why I should go to a bank to buy my wearable to make a payment. And I think as the opportunity has grown and networks like DigiSec have come into place that will enable the direct connection between the wearable itself and the service through the mobile, then there are other services that can be added. So we are really not talking about payment. We're talking about multiple services into one object, not least of which is probably personal and object identity.
You're definitely making the impossible possible. But one of the other, complex sides of this is consumer adoption. So here's a challenge for you. You're explaining wearable tech to your daughter, your son, your wife, your auntie, uncle. How do we get consumers adopting it? How are we going to explain it to them?
First, I believe that the word contactless due to COVID, become very famous and common. So everybody wants contact. No one wants to touch things today. And the problem that we had probably 10 years ago, up till 10 years ago, was mainly the terminals on the other side of the point of sale of wherever that could not accept it. So it was very limited areas that you could use. And today, I think probably 90%.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, 90% plus. And after COVID, many countries made it even quicker. So most of the terminals today accept contactless devices or contactless payments. And therefore, we believe that now it's just a matter of making it into a fashion, because now we need to enable the people to buy it and use it. So as we said, the bottleneck made it in the last 3 years, I would say, difficult for banks and brands because they needed to choose it for the consumer. And we believe that 2 months ago, 3 months ago, when we just managed to get it through your own self-personalization, our product that we came out with, we truly believe that within few months, we will start seeing just various of wearables out there enabled, and you can just put your service on and use it. So
yeah,
that's
and it becomes part of your identity, doesn't it? It becomes part of what you believe in. Like fashion is very personal to each individual. Your football team is very individual to each person. So, there's some, again, talking about what you're doing with a number of football clubs around the world, I think that really shows where the technology comes into its own.
Yeah, I mean, I seriously think that this is a real juncture of brand to service. This is the first time that the brand has really been able to put themselves up front and become the top of the consumer's visibility. And that goes beyond, just using it for payment. It might be that they're using it to get into their hotel room. It might be that they're using it to get into their football ground. So it's really become a brand-centric item, no longer a bank or issuer-centric item. And that puts a whole new perspective for those brands out there to become a valuable commodity and carry the services.
I also believe that one of the biggest changes in the revolution that we try to bring in, I think that one of the biggest changes is that the previously, if you wanted to pay something or if you wanted to use for anything like access or whatever, you needed to get a card, your employee card, you couldn't really take a brand, right? You needed to get a plastic card, which was done. Today, we are enabling brands, take any big brand, any fashion brand, XYZ brand that you know, they can just embed a chip inside, which is a virgin chip, has nothing to, they don't need to do anything with it. And the person, the user, can literally place a service on that brand. So when you go out there and you pay with your watch, with your bracelet, with your diamond ring, with your whatever is convenient, with your shirt, if you want. So all these things become available, more available for the brands to add services to their brand. And that means engagement to your customers.
100%. It makes you very sticky. So the banks really need to get on board with this, don't they? Because, tell us about some of the complexities there. How do we get banks really, involved in the adoption?
I think really that because we have worked over the past 2 years to remove those complexities, the banks now have an opportunity to say, well, they don't really need to have too much involvement. They have already gone through the process of enabling tokenization because they already subscribe to things like Apple Pay and Google Pay. And so there's nothing really there that now will prevent them from subscribing to the DigiSec service. And now we don't put our brand up in front and centre. We allow the brand to be front and centre. It's just our service in the background. But there's nothing to stop the bank from enabling that now. It has become as easy as doing an Apple Pay, doing a Google Pay provisioning. And that was really what the drive behind the company was, to get out there. And then I think the next step is awareness. I mean, if you look back to the 90s, did you think that you would use email to the extent that you have? No, probably not. And I know that a lot of people were saying, email? Oh, that's just going to interrupt my business life. Well, now it is your business life. And so I think that wearables will adopt that same sort of situation where they will just become a ubiquitous part of your life. And there won't be, oh, I want a wearable. It'll just be, oh, that's a nice shape. I'll have that one.
Fantastic. I can't wait. And I'm very much enjoying using my keyring there that's near you, Terrie. And it's, actually made from Apple Core as well, isn't it? So it's fully sustainable, which, cars aren't reaching that at the minute. So, that's wonderful that I'm able to do that. And also, I have my keys there too. So keys, wallet, I've got everything I need to leave the house. So sort of changing tack a bit here. Ido, share with us how DigiSec came to where it is today and where you see the vision for it.
First, I believe that the most important thing, and DigiSec till about 6 months ago was very much technology company and invested years, literally years, of physically doing the DigiSec technology, but it's also years of experience of the co-founders of DigiSec, which is like together, I think, more than 50 years of experience in the tokenization and contactless and card schemes. And we believe that those brought the need of the market today into place with the best secured and convenient and easy technology. Once that was launched and available, now DigiSec in the last 6 months become a commercial, take the technology that we developed. We didn't want to say we will have something. We wanted to make sure that we have something that is solid and work. And now we are taking this
and
technology,
yes,
putting showcases, which we already did in the last few months. And we have few nice showcases that combine services that has, and we did showcases with Real Betis in Spain, with MasterCard in the Roland Garros. And we do a few solid showcases, and now we are able and ready to scale them up. So if I'm looking at the team of DigiSec, for example, if the team of DigiSec was 85-90% tech and 10% maybe or 15% of people and time would be invested in commercial and sales, today we are trying to get into a 50-50 kind of thing, because we do have 2-3 more services and tech things that we are developing, whether it's NFT, whether it's, I mean, we go together with the world. Wherever the world goes, we are on that way, the metaverse and so on and so forth. So we have a parallel direction right now, but the direction of commercial and sales takes a little more, I would say, stake in the company.
Yeah. I mean,
you have a real market
company,
advantage, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at the minute, no one can really touch.
Yeah. But I think when you look at what we had to do, it was really important that we have to pass all the compliance requirements. And that is a huge, huge cost and a big series of events that we have to go through in order to meet the compliance requirements. And that's why we bit the bullet and we went, we've got to do this. You can't be half compliant. There's no such thing. So it was all or nothing. And so once we were able to launch commercially, that's when, as Ido was saying, that we really are now ready to scale up and start hitting the world and the supermarket shelves, I think is the term.
So your vision then for the company in the next few years, where do you see the company going?
I say it very simple.
Yeah.
And first, I like simple things. That's the way we build our product. Our solution is very simple. It's simple for issuers. It's simple for banks. It's simple for the user, because the user experience, you just come, you tap. It's very simple. You tap it on your mobile phone and you're gone. And the vision is going that we have Apple Pay, which is doing the entire Apple devices. We have Google Pay, who is doing the entire Android devices. And we have DigiSec, who is doing the wearables, which is not Apple or Google devices. So it's enormous.
Trillions of devices.
Exactly. And we already have, just for our showcases, we have about, I would say, more than 300 types of wearables that we were innovative and thinking and making it into a showcase. And we must admit also that what helped us is the chip manufacturers, because we all, at the age that we remember that a computer, my father's computer was one room. And my daughter's computer is probably on a nice, she has a watch which has everything inside it. So the chip manufacturers, the chip technology to accept more services into, more data into, making it smaller and making it waterproof, making it flexible. So all these things made it into ability to put any wearable you want. Into anything, exactly.
Absolutely.
So when you can put it into anything, we are not limited with the wearable types that we can do.
So we truly believe that we are the centerpiece for the Internet of Things, where what we can do is connect the physical, no matter what it is, to the digital, no matter what it is. And payment we started with simply because it's difficult, yet it's utilitarian and everybody needs to use it. But where we're going really is looking at real identity. And this is one of the reasons that, Dave Birch was onboarded into the company, because he's helping us to understand what that means, particularly in the payments world. And so our platform was really designed, simple connect in, multiple connection out. And anybody who joins will get the pleasure of really finding out how that works.
I think that's one of the reasons why, people find it difficult to understand, because the possibilities are endless. So actually, this is applicable to any vertical, any type of company, whether it be a big organisation with thousands of staff that might want to use it internally, right through to a football team, to a ski lift, an aeroplane. There's no sort of holds barred, is there, in terms of how you can use it? So the imagination almost needs to come from the world around us. And, some fantastic imagination has come your way. I mean, Money 2020, the chip in the nail, that was a great one, wasn't it?
I agree. And I just want to emphasize something that Terrie just said about why did we choose payment first? And we chose payment first because the payment service demand the highest security. Saying that, now access control, for example, if you want to go to your gym, if you want to go to your hotel, that security that it needed was not that great like payment. What we managed to do is that we managed to create a marketplace with the strongest security of payment, and now we can enable the same marketplace, the same security to even lower like access control and all that. So the gym, for example, or the club or the hotel or whatever, the nursery will get free of charge, I would call it, but will get the security of a payment. So the identification, the authentication, things that previously it is a problem of brands. It is a problem of fake things and frauds. And as technology goes on, the fraudsters are smarter, and you always find it's like a cat and a mouse. But you always find, and when we kept the security in the highest level of payment, for example, that I think would put us in a very strong proposition towards other services that we are offering on that marketplace.
Yeah, because I think today there are services that are being offered. Some of the brands, for example, have chips in their clothing, their handbags, whatever it is that they're making. But that chip technology is nowhere near the level of chip technology that we deal with today. And what we're saying is it won't be long before you guys are going to need the level of chip technology that we deal with, because your chips are going to get cracked quite quickly. So we are always at the cutting edge, at the real top end, trying to make sure that everything is as high secure as is possible within the confines of the environment.
And what do we want with identification? What do we want with our payments? We want trust and we want security. And your business is underpinned by that,
yes,
which is wonderful. So I want to ask you both my sort of final sort of question that I think, other people will want to ask. So, and we have had some emails in about this one. So will the pace of wearable tech adoption make phones and cards a thing of the past? Terrie, what do you think? Because we were talking about it outside, weren't we?
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, and I think there's maybe a little bet going on between us about how long it'll be. But I see that phones really are being adopted for what we would see as being the high-value purchases, where you're not going to forget your phone. And then I would see that the wearables would be adopted for mid and the low-value payments. And I think that will eat into both cash and cards. I think cards are going to disappear. Now, I think it'll be, a good 10 years. But in
certain markets, I think it's less than that.
Yes.
But I say 5 in the developed market.
Yeah. I mean, I just go back to how long it's taken to, sort of get the mobile. And I think the mobile took a good 8 years to really become prevalent. But I think because people are aware of how to use their mobile and they're aware of contactless now, I do think wearables is going to be a quicker adoption than I think the mobile went through. But I do see that it's really down to the banks to offer the choice to their consumer to be able to do it. And I think that, to me, is the only holding factor at the moment.
Well, there's lots of emerging fintechs, that are starting to take market share from the banks, the Revoluts, the Starlings, the challengers. If you were an issuer, what would you be doing to attract new markets?
Well, I mean, seriously, and then this is why we exist. I'm the co-founder because I seriously believe that I wanted the choice. I believe in the fashion and the tech coming together. And I believe that if the banks don't do that and offer their consumer that choice, they will be marginalised down to different products. They will lose the payments. I think they've gone into the likes of, sort of the X-Pays because they've had to. And I think they have to open their eyes and realise they have to also do wearables. Otherwise, their consumers will walk elsewhere and their payments will take place through different services.
And I think it may be a cultural shift with some of the issuers because like we were saying earlier, banking payments is all about trust and security and credibility. Well, in this case, you can have both, can't you, Ido?
I agree. And I think that we need to add another word here, which is innovation. And I think that the generation today is innovative. And the adoption of innovation, the adoption of technology is very, very quick. See, the adoption of NFT, for example.
Yeah.
My son is 16 years old and he speaks about NFT. And I believe he knows NFT maybe more than me. But it's just how the mindset of the generations is getting more into tech and more into innovation and more into convenience things. And I think that I truly believe, that's why I'm here, I truly believe that we already started the evolution of taking the cards and the cash out and making it into a wearable, into something that would be a fashion, and anything would have chip in it. Anything. 10 years down the road, if you go in the high street, I would say that any product that will cost to the market cost, I don't know, £50 and up, would have a chip embedded in it. Whether you use it or not, it's your choice.
And so it should, because really, the whole industry around fakes, that we've not solved this issue yet. With this technology, we have a solution, don't we, here?
Yeah, I mean, we demonstrated that a couple of years back when we embedded a chip into the Golden Globe.
I know, that was fabulous.
Absolutely fabulous idea. So, there is no one who's going to be able to sell a Golden Globe and say, hey, that belonged to somebody else when it really didn't.
So just
you add to that even blockchain, for example, or you add to that so you have even the history. So it's and this is something that just came new. So 5 years ago, we could say, listen, this is the original Golden Globe. But today, if with the right integrations, I can tell you that this is the original Golden Globe. It was with Angela 1 year ago, and then it was with Terrie, and then it belongs to someone. So it's the technology today, the identity, it exactly goes into the identity. The identity and authentication today, it's something that goes hand in hand.
And it's beyond object identity. Really, let's understand that it also enables consumer identity. So you can carry your own identity and your own token on your own thing. And nobody can take that away from you. And nobody can prove that you're not, who you are. And so as far as I'm concerned, I think that we have got a huge market out there with identity, with provenance of object, and, any other service that you want to actually combine with it.
I think you've demonstrated why the time is right for wearable tech, in bounds. I'm really, more inspired to see this. And, Terrie, with your role as ambassador, I think spreading this word has never been more important, has it?
No, never. I mean, and this is the bouncing point. This is the point at which we now can really start moving out into the global hemisphere. And I think that listening, if those who out there who are listening to us, I think should take on board that this is the time for them to start moving seriously. Don't leave your customers behind. Give them something that they want.
and engage to them. And I think that both the customers and the world is really ready for that, and the engagement to your customers, because it's unique identity. It's not identity. What we need to understand is that each and every wearable is a unique. It has a unique identity. So you can always engage to your customer in a far better way, easier way, and specific way, because I can engage to Angela. I don't need to engage if I had 500 of wearables which were not identified, so I have 500 people that I can engage to. But today I can engage to specific to Angela.
Audience of one,
Yeah.
which is
Exactly.
a holy grail for marketing. I'm a chartered marketeer. Well, I believe passionately about this discipline, and it's always about the audience of one.
Well,
and we have it.
We
here.
went through, when we were talking, I'd say about 10 years ago, we went through proximity marketing, so that you would tap and you get some marketing bump for, be told to go somewhere. But that was not an audience of one. It was too generic, too open. Nobody really felt that it was adding any fantastic value to them as an individual, because it wasn't targeted at them as an individual. Now we can. And I think that's very important in today's world of identity.
Fantastic. So if you have any questions or you'd like to get in touch with us, please contact terrie.smith@digisec.co.uk. Terrie is our global ambassador and the co-founder of Digisec, and behind the innovation. And she will be able to answer all of your questions. Thank you. Bye.